which I ain't gonna talk about the community, but he got a strong community behind him. You know what I'm saying? I can see Michael Morales being next for sure. But regardless,
you talking about like his home country, like community, or who you talking about?
No. I'm talking about the plus community.
Oh, you talking about the mafia? Okay.
The ABCDQ, yeah, nah.
But
hey, what up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Brick Brother Podcast. Y'all already know, man, the numbers is going up. I just want to say thank you to all the new subscribers, man, who have locked in with us. It's been a long minute, been a long time, getting up to this point. But I really feel like, man, the longer that we do this, the more consistent that we are. We just going to keep building. We just going to keep growing. But we've been seeing y'all suggestions, right? Having guests on, certain topics that y'all want to hear about, and everything that you guys put down in the comment, trust me, we're going to reply back, and then we're going to make sure that we add it to the show, all right? So if you're loving the content, if you're loving what we're doing, hey, just go ahead and do your thing, man. Hit subscribe, man, and lock in on the show.
Perfect. So the UFC was in Qatar over the weekend. Main event, Arman Tsarukyan versus the Hangman Dan Hooker. Mm-hmm. When you tapped in, did you get a chance to lock in and watch most of these fights?
Yeah, I was tapped in, but it was an early card, though, right? So I missed out on a couple of the early prelims. What they started by like 8 o'clock.
Probably 8 a.m.
So I definitely missed that, man. I was snoozing, I ain't gonna lie. But, once I did tap in, just looked at a lot of good fights, man. It was a lot of good knockouts on this card. Can't really remember a lot of the young guys' names, young bulls that was on the early prelims. But like I said, man, very entertaining card out there. So Qatar definitely put on.
Yeah, it was a great fight. We'll kick it off with the main event. Arman Tsarukyan finished Dan Hooker by submission. What were your thoughts about Arman Tsarukyan being able to assert himself back? He's been number one contender, it feels like, for 3 years. Obviously, the missed opportunity.
Yeah, I'm about to say he ain't fought in 2 years. Shit.
The missed opportunity to fight the champ at the time, Islam Makhachev, kind of getting a chance to show people the level he's at,
right?
That he's the rightful number one contender, and maybe a pending matchup with Ilia Topuria. So, what are your thoughts on his performance? And
he showed out. He really definitely came back out and really kind of shows, what level he was on. Because, Dan Hooker, bro, as much as they want to, rag on him and they try to make him a journeyman, he's nice. Dan Hooker nice like that. His striking is very dangerous. And we even seen with himself, trying to get Arman in bad positions, right? Almost got him in that guillotine, but Arman just fucking alligated out of that mud, Literally just, spun out. So just really kind of seeing, how Arman was able to dominate a person like Dan Hooker, man, and really just cement his name and put himself in a position to be the next guy to fight for that title. I'm very intrigued to see what he's able to do with a person like Ilia Topuria.
Yeah, for sure. I was just very impressed. I knew Arman was sensational. I've talked about Arman Tsarukyan a long time. What he was able to do in that early fight in the UFC against Islam Makhachev, giving him a very tough contested fight. He's really come into his own. His striking, his wrestling, everything's just come together to really show that he's at an elite level. Dan Hooker's nothing to sniff at, especially on the feet. Arman was engaging with the striking. It was, they were having back and forth, having exchanges, and really set up his grappling. And the thing that impressed me the most was the damage, right? I think that's been something that's been missing from MMA of late. Guys getting to those dominant positions. I won't mention all the guys, but some of the guys who come to mind, them getting to, mount or getting, top or back control and actually landing damaging strikes. You looked at Dan Hooker's face and...
Yeah, boy, ain't look the same. What the hills have eyes? You seen that movie? Yeah, he look like one of them creatures out there.
But doing that damage, being active and looking to pass and looking to, make it an actual, and I won't say just a fight, but damage is the number one criteria in our sport. So it's like he made a point to every single time make Dan Hooker pay for going for submissions or trying to sweep him. He made him pay. And I was really impressed with his ability to not just transition and scramble, but his ability to land damage from those positions. Dan Hooker, I think a lot of people judge Dan Hooker off of some of his losses, but he was there to fight. He didn't ever look like he wanted to quit. He continued to try to sweep or get 100%. Up from the bottom. He tried to get submissions when he could. I think Dan Hooker is just like the fighter's fighter. You know, like
100%.
every single time, whether win, lose, or draw, he's gonna give it his all.
And he said he never touched a title. I don't believe that. You got a perfect title that's made for you at 155, and that's the BMF.
Oh yeah,
that's the BMF
for
belt.
sure.
You know, he definitely. I can definitely see him fight. Who got it right now? Who still got that BMF belt?
Well,
Max.
Yeah, Max.
So
Topuria said he got it.
I think that's a fun. They never fought before, had they?
Nah,
that's actually
that'd be a great fight. Max has been kind of going up and down for 55. So yeah, I like that suggestion for Dan Hooker. For Ilia Topuria, right? Not Ilia Topuria, excuse me. Arman Tsarukyan, kind of been the quintessential contender, number one contender. Is it time to make that fight with him and Ilia Topuria? Is that what next for him?
Yeah, that's definitely what's next. Even with Ilia Topuria, right? And let me just speak about him because obviously he has big dreams and big goals, you know, into getting that third strap. Hold your weight class down first, big fella. You know what I'm saying? Like let's see what you can do at 155 because at the end of the day, I believe he only defended it once, right? Oh no, I don't think he hasn't defended it. No defense.
He defended the
45. Okay.
title.
So yeah, defend the belt at least, and this is the perfect person that you can do it against. And right now, there's not. I'm not saying there's not a lot of big names, but there's not a lot of competitive names for Ilia Topuria at 155 besides Arman. You know, you got also Patty. You know, up there as well. But I think he'll do. I think he'll do Patty dirty. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know what I'm saying? but with Arman, you know, they already got a good little vibe going on and a good little back and forth. That's the fight to make. You know, and stylistically, be honest with you, it's the best fight that know I can see happening. You know, it's not really an easy fight to pick. You know, because both of them are just stylistically so great at all things. You know what I mean? This is a fighter's fight right here.
Right, and I feel like we already missed the matchup that we wanted to see, at least for me.
Which one is that, big fella?
Well, you know, the welterweight king now is Islam Makhachev.
What happened?
Arman Tsarukyan was breakdancing or doing spinneroonies or something with Nina
yeah.
Drama.
Oh, yeah. That's when he threw his back out. He was out for about 2 years.
Has to pull out literally fight week, and we never got to see that question answered. I would hate to see history repeat itself. With Ilia Topuria, I feel like we're in a golden era for some of these fighters as far as their ability. I don't know if we've ever seen much of a higher level for the lightweights. You know, I feel like Islam has picked up right where Khabib left off, and great contenders have risen to the top, and I just want to see that fight. So hopefully they make that fight. Seems like there's some bad blood, there's some beef, good storyline.
Yeah, so they Ilia Topuria ended up posting something about he slapped at the PI or something like that. I don't know if it was a slap, more like a caress.
Caress, yeah.
Like a caress on the face. I think that's way more disrespectful, to be honest. They could just rub in my face like that, bro. Like, chill. But either way, though, you see them going back and forth. But it's an easy fight for the UFC to make, and there is a storyline behind it. But even better than that, it's a legit fight. It's
Definitely.
a legit fucking fight.
I'm excited for it. You know, and I as much as I get Topuria, you know, wanting to jump up and go to, you know, welterweight, Islam, we'll talk about in a second, he's not going to fight anyway for a bit. So it's like, this is not going to happen. There's other more legitimate contenders at 170. Let's pump the brakes. You beat Arman Tsarukyan. Now we're having to, you smoke Charles Oliveira and then destroy Arman. Shut up.
I slide to the side, Nick.
We saw another fighter from the opposite way want to move down to welterweight.
Who you talking about?
We'll talk about it in a little bit.
We talking about it a little bit. You're going to be holding me, nigga. Now I want to know.
And it's not sweet at 170. That's all I'll say. In the co-main event, Ian Machado, Garry, it's crazy even putting that on there, but that's what he go by. Ian Machado, Garry versus Belal Muhammad. The return of Batman. Man, Ian gets the unanimous decision over Belal Muhammad.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on the fight? Right. Were you surprised by Belal's inability to get those takedowns, which I think surprising? Yeah. You called it pretty accurately.
I definitely did. So, be honest with you, now that this fight is over, I can really be honest about Belal. Belal never had great wrestling like that. We just gonna keep it a bean.
Of course.
No. Go ahead. The reason why I want to say that is because it's also another thing about JDM and what his success was against Belal. He thought he was gonna have that same success against Islam. So let me go just into the fight, period. I think Garry did what he needed to do, and that was just stay long pop shots from the outside. Be quick, right? Them teeps was nasty coming up the middle, up to the body, to the chest. He cut fucking Belal early in the fight, you know. And I don't know what this was, but the double punch was crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know if
Double punch, eye poke.
eye poke, all that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, he wanted to stay long. He wanted to stay rangy. Anytime Belal would get inside and clinch him up against the cage, you can see it's not about the lack of control, but the lack of skill set and getting Ian Garry down. It's not that Ian Garry is a hard person to take down or somebody that's, you know, also, you know, working with the shoot boxers and all this shit, so his grappling has been, you know, leveled up. No, I don't believe it. I think just the level of wrestling he just still has not seen. And a lot of things that Ian Garry does would allow him to be taken down fairly easy, to be honest with you, right? But because he's just so awkward on the cage and just the way he be like, you know what I'm talking about,
The
bro.
little
Like,
sprawl.
the little sprawl and the hips out and the
Yeah.
neck. Like, it's weird shit. But I'm trying to tell people, like, with Ian Garry having this successful win over Belal, he also just showed why he's not going to be a good matchup to fight Islam, or just the other way around, you know? Like, if he fight Islam, it's going to be the same thing of what happened to JDM, right? And because they believe that, I was able to stop Belal's shots, I'm going to be able to stop Islam's as well. I'm just going to say this on record right now. Belal wrestling and Islam wrestling is two different motherfucking things.
You won't hear no argument out of me.
You know what I'm saying?
But I spoke on the last
I really
clip.
just want to let the word, because I was going to say that. You know, I didn't want nobody to really think, because, you know, we went with Belal. Yeah. We wrestled that nigga. And we outworked Buddy. He had to ask Ali. He's like, Ali. Look, Buckley still got me on my back. I don't know how to get up. Like, literally. Like, so, like, but I didn't want to expose it yet, because I was like, nigga, that's still something that I can go ahead and kind of put out there. But now, shit don't even matter now, right? I feel like with Ian Garry and his whole pursuit of wanting to, like, think he gonna beat Islam because he stopped Belal shots, but it's not gonna go the way you think, bro.
Well, you know, my whole thing is, I was a little surprised by the fight. Not that he couldn't get a takedown. I thought the striking was more competitive than, if you would have told me that they would have essentially had a kickboxing match with cage control, I would have thought Ian Garry probably would have put Belal out. Belal impressed me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. You know, his ability to touch Ian Garry, get inside and actually effectively land strikes. It was closer than what most people's opinions, in my opinion. I had it probably 3-0 or 2-1 Ian Garry. But Belal had success in the striking department, which for you, if Belal can touch, you should feel pretty good about that. Then I keep that there. But my whole
100%. You stupid.
I just keep that there. Yeah. But you know, I thought Belal's setups might have been just a little better. You know, it wasn't really.
It wasn't crisp, bro.
Yeah. He never really got clean on the shot. He did get to a couple single legs, high crotches, but those tall guys, you know, me personally, I just prefer the double leg for the tall guys. It's more control, and but it is what it is. Moving forward, I mean, now we have this cluster situation in the welterweight division. Do you think Ian Garry did enough to submit himself over guys like Michael Morales? How do you matchmake at welterweight?
Well, Ian Garry has fought all the tough opponents that a lot of people didn't want to fight at the time. Speaking of MVP, speaking of Carlos Prates, speaking of Shahkat, right? Even though he lost that one, he finally made that person look human, you know, with him being undefeated and finishing everybody. And now with him fighting Belal. But at the end of the day, each one of those fights that I'm talking about, they all backfired because the performances did not live up to.
Sure.
Right?
I agree.
Every single fight, you know? So even though, yes, you did take on these dangerous opponents, you did fight these guys, still you lacked in the, you know, the performance element where it will put you, like, undeniable as the next guy, you know? And even as much as we don't want to see a fucking Carlos Prates or Michael Morales, and I'm speaking about me personally, right? They performed. They went out there and showed out.
That's true.
Right? And that's the only thing that Ian Garry is lacking, is that, right? Other than that, he ain't ducking no smoke. Like, he want to fight everybody, but because the performance wasn't there, I feel like that's the only thing that is pretty much keeping you behind. And it just, for me, it's just like, you got to be able to understand that and be able to realize that, like, anytime I go out there to fight these guys, you got to go out there to hurt or kill, right? And to me, still, even with the Belal fight, you throwing them little shots, but you said even best. It was more of a kickboxing bout. That was your realm to put Belal out and knock him out. But you didn't do that. Because, yet again, I think Ian Garry's the type of person to try to strategize on how we going to get to the judges and make sure I get my hand raised.
Sure, definitely. I mean, I don't know if I spoke about it here. We spoke about it off cam. I think Ian Garry is really good at what he does. He's a very systematic guy, Like, I won't give away all my notes and details, but he's very systematic, and he's very good at that particular style. I do think that you offered a very good perspective, because a lot of times you see fighters on the way to the top take those calculated risks, try to be more entertaining so they can get those premier matchups, and maybe when they get the belt, start adjusting their strategy to be a little bit more risk adverse, to be a little bit more conservative in how they approach fighting. But Ian Garry seems like he's been very tentative, or just very careful on how he approaches fights in those big moments. And I agree with you. You allow people, who are more exciting to steal those moments, because you mentioned some of those wins, and I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Because those fights didn't necessarily live up to expectations. The Protest one was pretty good, but some of the other ones.
That fifth round, though, crazy. That's the only thing I remember.
But so we do have, and I will get back to the.
That's the Carlos Protest fight.
I remember
that he dominated, buddy.
Yeah.
And all I can remember is the fifth round, that man hands and knees, crawling away. Come on now.
We were live there. I remember. My thing is this, right? I'm going to get to the rest of the fights, because this card is fantastic. It deserves its shine. But as I said, to declutter the welterweight division, we were just talking, and I think I have a good idea and a solution. I think they should do a welterweight tournament. Islam's not going to fight anytime soon. I don't know what Ramadan is. He just won. There's so many people. Nobody really makes definitive sense. So I say, instead of people just waiting on their hands and sitting and waiting, I feel like the UFC should just start matchmaking. Tournament, we could do like a welterweight card. You know what I'm saying? Guys like you, guys like Michael Morales, and just pair them up. Match them up. Guys who haven't fought. So who do you think should be in this tournament?
All right. Well, obviously, I got a lot of good names. A lot of good names, right? But I think it's the ones that's really making the most noise and the people that's asking for this opportunity. So you got Carlos Protest, you got Michael Morales, you have Oezdemir, you have myself, you have Shavkat, you have Ian Garry, right? And yeah, like you said, bro, I think that makes the most sense, because right now I think even the UFC is kind of confused. Like, dang, what do we do right now, right? Like, we have a person like Oezdemir, who is welterweight, you know what I'm saying, king at one point, right? But he still was on 1-3, right?
Sure.
In his last 4. Which that's what everybody's saying. And then on top of that, then you have an Ian Garry, which, yeah, he's taken these tough fights for us, but boy, he don't perform whatsoever, And then you got the Carlos Protest, who, yeah, dope fighter, a great knockout ability, but you already know when they match him up against Islam, it's gonna be a murderous row, right? Like, I think they did like the betting odds on that. It's gonna be like a plus 1,000 for that boy to win, so not even close. And then you have obviously Michael Morales, which I ain't gonna talk about the community, but he got a strong community behind him. You know what I'm saying? I can see Michael Morales being next for sure. But regardless,
you talking about like his home country, like community, or who you talking about?
No. I'm talking about the plus community.
Oh, okay, you talking about the mafia. Okay.
The ABCDQ. Yeah, but regardless though, right? Like, the UFC is just really trying to scramble. Like, hey, who do we make the next guy for the title contention? But you also made a good point. Islam might not even want to fight. He might be bluffing everybody right now, right? He might just be trying to go on this little tour. You see Habib out there, you know what I'm saying, doing the telegrams, you know what I'm saying, out there. Hey, look, Islam right behind him, right? Trying to promote something. So, but you already know how big of a deal that is to be double champion. And for them to try to promote that for as long as they can before somebody steps up and try to challenge them, I think that's what they're going to do. So with that being said, man, I love to see a person like Oezdemir and Shavkat running, right? If we matchmaking, let's be the matchmakers on that. Who would you put Carlos Prates against?
I think him and Ian Garry should run it back. I think
Mm-hmm.
that makes a lot of sense. Both of them have, coming back with a lot of steam. Pair them up, see what happens. I think Prates, if he got that one, I think that title shot would make a lot more sense.
Okay. I like Michael Morales and JDM. I think
perfect.
That's a striker banger right there. And then JDM, he don't need another booty bandit. You don't need another booty warrior. Well, hold on. Actually, I just thought about that. This is the booty warrior, right? Anyways, though, I think him and Michael Morales would be good because it will be a striking affair.
Sure.
They're gonna stand up on the feet. They're gonna put heavy pressure on each other. And obviously, with one being undefeated and one just lost a first fight in the UFC, right? He's definitely going to be very, I guess, motivated to get that win back. Who would you match me up against?
You and Shavkat, man. I think that one makes a ton of sense. Obviously the division has just been shuffled, so the numbers, fuck out of here. Who cares?
I think we said Oezdemir versus Shavkat. Then
Yeah, okay. You versus Belal. How about that?
Okay.
I think the numbers right now doesn't make sense because you had a lot of guys who would potentially make sense for fighting for a title. Leon Edwards, okay, he's lost 2 in a row. He's really done a lot to get there. Belal now is on a 2-fight losing streak. If he would have won, maybe he would have been in contention.
Right.
But the new guys who've risen to the top, they don't really have the resumes that Belal, Leon, or Usman had to do to get to a title shot.
Right.
So let's just declutter it.
Okay.
We'll run the names as we said.
I like that.
And we'll get to a welterweight tournament.
A little St. Louis versus Chicago. Little me and Belal. I like that.
Yeah, 2026. So I think that makes a ton of sense. Before we move on, because we have plenty more to get to, I know you saw the interaction between two of your favorite fighters, Ian Garry and Khamzat Chimaev. What did you make of their little interaction?
To me, I feel like we keep running into this scenario with Khamzat, bro. It's always a situation where, it's a lot of pushing and shoving and hollering when the cameras come on, when the security get in between. But right beforehand, they ain't a lot, being said or done, right?
I agree.
I don't know if if he got a trigger with the cameras. I think that's a thing it's a trigger for him.
It's a marketing thing.
You think it's a marketing thing?
I think so. I mean, my thing is, everybody saw the interaction.
Mm-hmm.
They're perfectly fine and cordial. They're touching each other, no shoving or pushing. The security guard comes, and then that's where the interaction. If you didn't like the fact that he was touching on you and patting you, was condescending, wouldn't it make more sense to get him before the person who's there to be the security gets in front? That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen this before, as you mentioned. Funny enough, involving you. There's a situation with a guy who used to be in the UFC. And,
used to be.
And Khamzat Chimaev. I'm not throwing a shot.
I'm throwing shots.
I'm just saying, him and Darren
Misfit boxing, motherfucker.
Him and Darren Till.
Mm-hmm.
And you went over and you just said, "Hey, Darren, let's run it, right? Let's do it."
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing about me. And y'all already know I always call my shot.
Sure.
Right? And it's never a disrespectful thing if I call you out. I'm not thinking that you easy work. I'm just thinking I can knock you out. That's all. You know what I mean? But I know that you're an actual potential fight for me to have, and I think that, us having a fight together, that's what people is going to want to watch and be intrigued in. So with me doing that and highlighting me trying to get a fight, I see Khamzat right there in the corner, you know what I'm saying? And, these when they was the Smash Brothers or something like that. You know
something like that.
But regardless though, right?
Smash Brothers is crazy.
That is crazy, bro. He smashed everybody. Yeah, everybody I see. Okay. But once I walked up to Darren Till, I was like, man, it's been a minute because we already had like a little engaging conversation before. I was like, yeah, man, when we gonna get a fight going, And I acknowledged Buddy. I ain't act like he ain't exist. I said, hey, I would fight him, but he at 170 right now, so I can't worry about him. This one I was at 185 at the time. Matter of fact, I'm gonna use you as I'm sorry. I was like, I would fight him. That's how I did him, right? Pat him on his little chest, you know what I mean? But once I did that, he ain't say nothing. He ain't do nothing, right? I had my little conversation. Darren Till was like, yeah, let's do it in July. I said, July? Yeah. Don't lie. You got the camera on? Bet. Run it. July. Appreciate you, buddy. Bro.
I saw it go ahead.
As soon as I walk away, I heard something.
Who's that guy? And
I heard something.
Then he get activated.
Yeah. He like, let's fight now. That's the word. Let's fight now. I said, huh? He said, and then as security come in, that's when he get loud. Let's fight now. I was like, shit, what's good? Let's go.
Yeah.
But I was like, go ahead and go make your money. Because, he drained. Motherfucking brain barely worked. You talking about, nigga, I'm fresh, I'm good. Like, y'all really think Khamzat would have been able to do something with me? Like, but that's all I'm saying.
I get where you coming from.
At the end of the day, like you said, he just putting on.
My thing is this. It's like, we know you can fight, Khamzat. Like, nobody is looking at the middleweight champion and saying he can't fight. I just don't get the point of the tough guy act. Usually, some of Ian Garry's antics I'm not always with. But in this case, I had to side with Ian Garry a little bit. He was being childish. It was a bit pointless of having the issues and problem. I didn't see what the major didn't you see he was tapping him being condescending. Well, if you had a problem with it, you should have a problem before security got there. Like what did you like come in your head like, boy, like, oh man, I should be mad. Like I don't need a grown man to get in between me, like pause, but like and be like, oh, now I'm mad. Like that don't make no sense. So for me, I just thought it was silly.
I know why, because obviously now he sees that it's on camera. And Ian Garry, he felt like he got a little bro, right? And obviously, you got somebody that take care of Khamzat, over there. And I'm just keeping the bean, bro, At the end of the day, you got Khamzat, he getting paid for, he getting flown out. They pay for the best, the cars, pay for the best training, all that shit. Whenever he needs some meals, they be cooking for him.
Okay.
Right? No,
so he got a sponsor?
No, I don't know about no sponsor, you know what I'm saying? But he living a good life over there. And my thing is, it's just like at the end of the day, he wanna try to represent a certain lifestyle that maybe them boys over there like that, but Khamzat, you ain't like that, bro. You a mascot. We gonna keep it a bean. You a mascot, bro. And at the end of the day, I feel like Khamzat really be trying to prove stuff to everybody that he's surrounded by because these some real killers.
No, that makes sense because we already know he could fight. Like, regardless you like his style, hate his style, he's the champion of the world. To me, it's just no point. When you think about great names like Anderson Silva, George St. Pierre, even John Jones, aside from the issue with Daniel Cormier, he never really went around acting like the tough guy. Now, he might have did some dumb shit outside the cage, but it was usually self-inflicted. I just think the tough guy thing is pointless when we know you can fight. It's like,
nah, he trying to learn how to fight, nigga. You nigga know how to wrestle. We gonna keep it a bean, bro. That nigga know how to wrestle, bro.
You said it, not me.
And I'm gonna keep it a bean, guy. He ain't injured. That nigga working on that striking. You think he's slick, nigga? You trying to blame it on Ramadan? Nah, nigga. A lot going. Look, we better pray for some hands, nigga. This coming year. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on.
Let's continue in a feature about we had Oezdemir take on Alonzo Menifield. Alonzo Menifield in the beginning knocked out by Oezdemir a minute and 27 seconds in the first round. Nothing really to break down in this fight, but just your thoughts on the fight and we can get into some advice for Menifield potentially. But you were impressed with Oezdemir's performance?
Yeah, I mean, you always got to be impressed with somebody that go out there, and get it done quick. Obviously, you dealing with some big boys. Light heavyweight or heavyweight? Did he move up? I think Menifield moved up then.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, but either way, big boys, right? And it's always a flip of the coin, especially if you got two guys that's willing to throw them hands.
I think it was light heavyweight.
It was light heavyweight.
I think
so. Anyways, though, yeah, no, man, that was good fight from Oezdemir. Did I say his name right? I know. Volkswagen.
Oezdemir, he did a good job.
Yeah, there we go.
Hell of a job.
Great job.
No, I was impressed, man. He showed the knockout power. He's aggressive always really shined in the striking department.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the thing that was kind of drawing for me was Menifield. He's been knocked out in 3 of his last 4 fights. So, just find himself in that trouble continuously. Obviously, to give a small bit of critique for Menifield, playing rope-a-dope in MMA just doesn't really work. He was on the cage and he trying to duck shots and use the cage to lean. And with those big guys, they're going to find you. You got to move your feet. Mm-hmm. Traditional just head movement isn't super effective just without being in space because you don't have anywhere to go. And he was just trapped in the cage. Somebody like Oezdemir is super powerful. He just found a shot. And, it is what it is. Congrats to Oezdemir. Any advice for Alonzo Menifield find himself in a tough stretch of his career?
You said it best. it get to that fine line, when you take these losses and it's back to back, especially when you talk about KO losses, right? Like you really just want to tap in on your technique and your form and just clean up them hands, man. Get them hands up.
Sure. Well, that kind of covers that. So in the next fight, you have Mytabek Orolbai, excuse me, versus Jack Hermansson. Jack Hermansson was making his welterweight debut. Ends up getting finished very early in the first round. What were your thoughts on that fight? Do you think Orolbai can be a player at, a major contender at welterweight? How do you what are your takeaways from that?
I'm just gonna say before we even get into it, boy, like the size difference, bro, looked like a video game. Like Jack Hermansson still looked like he was like, he looked like he was like down there 205.
He looked gigantic.
And then homeboy looked like he was like a $160, bro, while he was out there. But that shit didn't matter because my man really, like, he was getting touched up by Jack. I ain't gonna lie. Like, Jack was touching him for a little minute, doing this little side shuffle, popping that jab out, moving. And you can see Mytabek, had a difficult time getting to his shots. Like, he would get some good underhooks and get into the clinch. But, he was struggling trying to get Buddy to the ground. But, my man just threw good little punch. It kind of just skid the ear a little bit of Jack Hermansson. I'm talking about shut the lights off immediately, bro.
Yeah, it was a nasty KO. Nasty.
Yeah, but like the punch didn't even look like it landed flush. It just scraped my man side of his head, and he went out. So with that being said, with Jack Hermansson moving down to welterweight, I think it'd be more refreshing for my man to move back up. Just work on your, like I said, bro, just work on the defense, right? Work on the defense, work on your hand placement. And then for Mytabek, I still don't think 170 is a weight class for him. I think because he got a nice little knockout on Jack Hermansson, who was a big opponent at the time, he just looked very, very little, very small.
Yeah. Oh, you answered my next question. I was going to ask, do you think welterweight is the weight class for Hermansson? But you've already given your opinion that he should move back up, and I think that might be good. Sometimes fighting at a lower weight class, cannot be an advantage due to how much you're draining yourself. You're not able to recover and have the performance. What does the size really matter, And then for Orolbai, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, my bad. But the division is super stacked. To make an impact, you're going to need a lot of wins. So I don't know if 55 is the place for him. Did he used to compete at lightweight?
Yeah, that's where he was at, And he said he was going to talk to his coaches. So, yeah, man, talk to your coaches, man. Take your head back down to 155.
In the next fight, Waldo Cortes-Aosta versus Shamil Gaziev. Cortes-Aosta gets his second knockout in 3 weeks. Ends up knocking out Shamil Gaziev in the second round. What do you think about that fight? Pretty entertaining. The big
he got a knockout, though, didn't he?
Yeah, that's his second knockout. So he fought 3 weeks ago, I want to say, the beginning of November. That was the eye poke. That's why he was wearing the eye patch and all that. And then he got that knockout, and then ends up getting a knockout again, man. He's on fire. How impressed are you with Cortes-Aosta?
Man, he keeping the activity up, man. But that's a dangerous weight class to keep that activity. I'm not going to lie to you. Because, they was both throwing some heat. Boom, boom, boom. He just caught. He got Buddy first. So, that's just – but, you love to see a guy like this at this weight class, being entertaining, putting on fun fights, being active, right? So, I think Costa is definitely refreshing in the heavyweight division right now. But, shit, fuck that. He said you want one more.
Yeah. Oh, one more this year? I don't know who that'd be. I was thinking like him, he's ranked number 6 right now. I have no clue about the heavyweight rankings right now. I'm just spitballing off the top of my head. I think him and somebody like Derek Lewis would be a hell of a fight. I think that'd just be a fire fight. Am
I tripping? Did they? No, they ain't.
I don't think they fought.
No, they ain't.
I don't think they fought. But if they did, I think that's a hell of a match to make. I think that's a step in the right right direction. Cyril Gane and Tom Aspinall, obviously they're gonna run it back. So. Yeah. For him to assert himself being a big name like Derek Lewis if he can, I'm not saying he will, but that would be a really good fight to kind of, for him, sometimes you need a name to make yourself, what I'm saying? Right. Make yourself extremely relevant. Because Shamil Gaziev, and I forget the other individual he knocked out, I don't remember off the top of my head, but they're not the same big name as a Derek Lewis or a Sergey Pavlovich. He fought Pavlovich already, but I think that'd be a good match for him. Moving on, you got Tagir Ulanbekov fight.
Shit, bro. You know, don't call me nigga.
Kyoji. There we go. There we go.
Let me call a friend.
Yeah, I thought about it. You know. I thought about asking you to translate. Kyoji Horiguchi. There we go. Horiguchi, second stint in the UFC.
He back.
Yeah,
I missed that. That's the one I missed.
Oh, okay.
I ain't wake up in time on that one.
He submitted Tagir Ulanbekov. Actually choked him to sleep. I don't remember. Maybe it was an RNC. I don't remember. But it was a good fight. He was giving Ulanbekov a lot of problems. So I would ask you how impressed you are with Horiguchi's second stint at UFC. But Ulanbekov is ranked. Horiguchi obviously had a lot of championship experience fighting in Ryzen and Bellator. He'd held titles for them. And, he competed against Mighty Mouse and a bunch of people. He's a little older in age, but he looked like vintage Horiguchi. Probably better than I saw him in his first UFC stint.
Flyweight still?
Yeah.
That's a young.
He was giving Ulanbekov a lot of trouble. I want to say it was the third round. I don't think Ulanbekov had any significant strikes. And he was beating him in the wrestling department, out scrambling him. Ulanbekov had a situation where he almost went for a submission, where he did go for a submission, and really nothing to it. Horiguchi, like I said, that damage from the top position, which been missing a little bit. Horiguchi just wasn't taking Ulanbekov down. He wasn't just laying in praying, as people say. He was being vicious. Right. Nice elbows, letting a lot of damage. Now, with him taking on a ranked opponent early in his second stint in the UFC, do you feel like he's in line and position to possibly challenge? Because Pantoja needs somebody new, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you still got names up there. It's just hard for them to get up there. That's it, right? So I think, you definitely can see. Bro, help me out, bro. I'm about to call that nigga
Horiguchi.
Yeah, bro. Oh my lord. What's his name again?
His whole name?
Whole name.
Kyoji Horiguchi. Kyoji. I think. Yeah.
I'm gonna just call him Kyoji. All right. Anyways, though, it's cool to see somebody like that. Even though cut from the UFC, you see what they do outside of that. They run their career up. They do, great things, outside of that, and still be able to come back and be able to compete at a high level. Why not, right? But, that's still a toss-up because we still got to see what Joshua Van is able to do, because Joshua Van opens up more opportunities for a lot of other guys. But, why not? You know what I'm saying? And my big thing is they done it before, right, with Kai, not Kai. What's his name?
You John, the dude who was
the Japanese dude from Rising.
I'm remember his name. The dude with the photo shoot. Yeah.
They just brought him in and signed him for a title fight, right? And you seen how that went. So either way, it don't even matter. Just try to find Pantoja as many athletes as you can, in order to keep that division running.
Definitely, because Pantoja's kind of running out of people. It seems like when guys get a little bit of traction, they end up fighting somebody else who's pretty good, and they don't make their way there. What's his name? Kai Car-France ended up taking a leave, and that kind of that opens up the division a little bit. But somebody like Horiguchi to be able to potentially challenge him, because if he puts away Van, nobody really makes sense for him to fight. Like, he's pretty much just competing against himself, just trying to submit himself as the GOAT at that division, competing against Demetrius Johnson, in my opinion. Any other takeaways from that Qatar? I didn't watch the prelim, so I can't say. All the early cards just throw me off. We have things to do. You try to go to the grocery store, you know what I mean? Right, and the fights are going on, so I just didn't get a chance. But that's my take on it. I didn't see really much more anything, but it was very entertaining. Even the prelims, I think they're getting to it. Plenty of finishes. So shout out to those guys. Let's shift lanes a little bit.
Come on.
Big announcement in the boxing world. Like him, love him, hate him. Jake Paul is taking on former champ Anthony Joshua, December 19th, I want to say. First off, do you think this is actually going to happen? Like, what? I'm confused. Let me lead it off. I'm confused. I called Reggie, SEO Boxing Academy. Reggie knows boxing through and through. I'm like, what would be the advantage of Jake Paul doing this, right? For most people are probably familiar. Jake Paul has fought anybody really but legitimate boxers. Or he's fought guys who fought in combat, who necessarily weren't strikers like Ben Askren. He's fought NBA players, former NBA players. He did take on one real boxer, but not really to the level or not nearly to the level of caliber as somebody like Anthony Joshua.
And still lost.
Right? So it seems like every fight that he's had a clear advantage where somebody who really knows boxing would go, yeah, and or like okay, like. But in this fight, I don't see where the gimmick is. I mean, I see a gimmick, but I don't see where the advantage is. What are your thoughts on this fight?
To be honest with you, with Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua, first off, I just want to give a round of applause for Jake.
I'm going with you. I don't know what we're clapping for, but yeah.
Well, he gonna get sent to the king.
Oh, yeah.
That's definitely gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I respect, before you die, you take a legitimate boxer, a heavyweight, a champion in itself with Anthony Joshua, and you really try to go out there and prove, I guess, to the world that I can stand up and box with a legitimate boxer. But this ain't it. This ain't it, right? Because we had other names you could have went with that we could have still gave you a little bit of respect, right? You got Canelo out there. That would have been cool, bro. You got Bud out there. That would have been straight, Shit, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Javante would have been cool too, bro. You know what I'm saying? I definitely felt like Javante still could have gave Jake a lot of issues, even as small as he is. But this one is literally crazy, bro. This right here is like, Buddy then lost his mind with this content shit, bro. Like,
look, I think it's one of those things that sounds good in nature. It's like you had the Javante fight for whatever reason, his outside issues or whatever the reason why they didn't make the fight end up happening. So now you're scrambling for names. I thought he was crazy for calling out Francis Ngannou, right? I thought that was a bad call out, but Francis still isn't the most polished boxer. A ton of power. And, he gave Tyson Fury a lot of trouble, but you saw not Tyson Fury, you saw Anthony Joshua fight Francis, you got reminded that there's levels to this thing, right? So for him to say, let me fight him, I don't see it. I just think it's biting off more you could chew. I understand scrambling for names, still want to get the payday. I don't think Jake is hurting for cash. Like, why go to the worst possible matchup that you could find? Now, your recipe for victory has been older, not a boxer, out of the prime, anything but a legitimate challenge. You say, no. Let me take on one of the toughest matchups I could
like
have.
You played the game on easy, like all the way through, right? And then you said, F it, I'm going to go on veteran mode, nigga. And then fight the final boss, nigga. Like, bro, like, so with Jake Paul, and, we're going to keep it a bean, though, right? Let's just say, because we live in the Matrix, right? Jake Paul fucking wins.
I throw some shit right now. Like, look, this is what I'm going to say. If Jake Paul wins, we know he's been paying people off. That's all it means. T. Wood, Anderson, we know they took a bag. You ain't even got to tell me. Like,
It'll be proven.
You said something, I'm like you said. I'm going to quote you. You said you would never watch boxing again.
I never watch boxing again,
okay, they think we dumb, huh? All right. Yeah. So we just supposed to believe it. It's impossible. There's no chance.
None.
If Anthony Joshua, like, unless he slips on a banana pill, he tears Achilles, like, it's got to be some crazy thing that happens.
That can't happen, bro. It just can't happen, bro. Like, literally, I think, like, so boxing survival lays in Joshua's hands, but I think we got the right person.
I think so. Look, he gonna take him serious. One thing with him, like, just reeling it back a little bit. Yeah. With Francis, he took it serious. He said,
"Oh yeah."
He saw what happened to Tyson Fury. Said,
"Nope,
not me." Mm-hmm. So I think he's gonna take him very seriously. He's gonna make sure that because even if he don't knock him out, it's embarrassing.
100%. You're right, because that'll be a win for Jake.
Big win.
That'll be 100%.
Look, I fought a legitimate world champion.
You heard who Anthony Joshua training with right now, right?
Nah.
Usyk.
Okay.
And Igor, the coach.
Yeah.
Oh, he finna kill that nigga.
Yeah. Jake, I don't get it, man.
Yeah, it's wild. I'm not gonna lie.
So
I'm excited for it. I'm definitely gonna be watching.
Super excited. If the wolves pulled over my eyes, if Anthony Joshua going there playing, I'm like, okay. Don't fall for the hook. Don't fall for they got us. On that same card,
you
have an interesting matchup. Two former UFC champions. You have Anderson Silva taking on Tyron Woodley on that undercard. What are your thoughts about them boxing?
It makes sense for them. It makes sense, but they finna get paid.
Get a bag.
They finna have a good time. I don't think it's a dangerous fight for neither one of them. I think it's just like a situation where if they was to go into the gym and get some work in, right, it'd be the same scenario. So I think it's good for both OGs, man, to really kind of get their pockets filled up real quick and just have a good time.
No, I think it's a dope fight. That's one that would have been interesting even to see in MMA, even at this stage 100%. For them. Mm-hmm. So I think they're at a similar place in their life and age where it's like, okay, their best days are behind them as far as competing at the levels that we knew them for. Anderson Silva being, you know, the middleweight king, and Raymond being a pound for pound great. You know, short list of names of, you know, being just at the top of the world of MMA, and then Tyron, who was one of the best welterweights of all time. Those days are behind them. So for them to do something fun, it's entertaining, a little nostalgia for us. So I'm excited to watch. That'd be something entertaining before the decapitation in the main event, because if that doesn't happen, then I just know the hook's in. I'm just being
the hook's in is crazy. Yeah, bro. Merch coming soon.
Yeah, don't fall for the hook. You want to talk about Francis being a bully, or just?
I mean. Let's just keep it a bean, you know. Like Francis was definitely doing what he wanted to do in the UFC PI, right? And when you talk about somebody that
he took your cornbread, huh? He took your cornbread to PI.
Nah, he didn't take mine, man. I see that nigga take some nigga shit though. But you know, with that being said, you know, I think that, you know, Francis and his mindset, bro, he's just a king, you know, and he moved like that, right? Like you talk about, you know, heavyweight champion, and you know, you got John Jones ducking you, right? Evading you, you know, then went into, you know, what he went into, like trying to build up on size or something like that. I'm talking about John Jones, right? You know, talking about it's gonna take a minute before I get big enough, right, to fight you. I think Francis just he embodied that, you know. But sometimes, even though you embody that, you know, that king mentality, you know, you gotta realize who really in charge, you know.
Sure.
At the end of the day, right? And but they ain't the one that said it, though. You know, he said, you know, Francis pulled up on him, you know, talking about, hey, I need my little 50. You know, I need all my little coins. I need all my little gems, bro. You know what I'm saying? And he told Dana, like, yeah, I'm gonna need that right now. And had my man hemmed up on the wall, like, nigga, you know what I'm saying? And my nigga Dana was like, nigga, you don't get your goddamn hands off me. And I really feel like, you know, that right there, I think kind of cemented why their relationship is the way it is. Now, I don't believe, like, Francis, like, intentionally was going to try to hurt Dana or anything of that nature, but it's still
very intimidating. You have
intimidating
one of the largest individuals who can knock out just about anybody in the sport of mixed martial arts. And if I grab somebody, it's like, okay, but like, hey, chill out. But Francis grab you, like, hey, get the fuck off me, because you don't know if he's serious or not. So I can understand if that's what went down. I wasn't there. But yeah, I think with Francis too, it's just a situation where I don't think he's ever coming back to the UFC.
After that story, hell no.
And as much as I would love for Tom Aspinall, if he were to be Tsarukyan, for him to fight Francis Ngannou, or John Jones, if he would potentially come back for a Francis matchup, it's probably not going to happen. And I think the UFC and Francis were a great partnership. The UFC's go on to still continue to be great. And I think Francis has accomplished some amazing things.
And he's straight.
Make a bunch of money. And I think that they've been fine with apart. I think they'd be better together, but they're not losing any sleep off of the partnership. So it is what it is. Shout out Francis Ngannou, you know. Did you see that GSP put together a pound for pound list?
Who we got on his pound?
Let me take a look.
Did he do it to 10 or 5?
All I saw was 6 names. I saw this a second hand. I even get a source MMA on point. I saw it on their page. In order, his top 5. Actually, I saw 6, so I'll say all 6. Excuse me. Pound for pound: Islam Makhachev, Ilia Topuria, Merab Dvalishvili, Arman Tsarukyan, John Jones, and then number 6, Alex Pereira.
Oh, so this is current, obviously.
Yeah. Like, this is his pound for pound now, not Mount Rushmore, not greatest of all time. Just
go through it again.
Islam number 1, number 2 Ilia Topuria, number 3 Merab, number 4 Arman Tsarukyan, number 5 John Jones, and then number 6.
Out of that motherfucker, man. Or put him a 6 or something.
So 6 or something. What did he get right, and where would you change it up?
Okay. All right. Then fuck it. I make my own.
New Mansa's pound for pound.
All right, New Mansa pound for pound. Okay. Actually, I fuck with the first 3. But I'm going to make Topuria 1. I'm going to make Topuria 1. Put Islam 2. I'm going to put Merab as 3. There's somebody I miss. Ooh, Valentina. I know it's a man.
But yeah, they you don't. But I respect it. They
put my ladies in there. I'm gonna put my ladies in there. All right. You know this is a special community out here anyway. So anyway, put Valentina on here. That's 4. Alex Pereira. Tom Aspinall.
Okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna shake that. The first 3 names is cool. Maybe the order, and I'm not mad at Arman Tsarukyan, a conversation that I've said before. I feel like you can have 2 people in the same weight class be pound for pound. Because the way I look at pound for pound, meaning their skill sets would translate between all weight classes. So I'm not mad at having somebody like Arman Tsarukyan. Imagine if Habib and Islam Makhachev were fighting at the same time, and they weren't friends. There's still 2 generational talents. You had John Jones and Daniel Cormier. I think you could put 2 guys from the same weight class because once John Jones left, Daniel Cormier reigned at 205.
100%.
And I think that's a conversation people aren't willing to have. But for sake of conversation, I understand you want to have your champions on the list. But I would probably have Islam number 1. I think that's perfectly fine. Topuria is hard to go against because you've seen both of them dominate in multiple weight classes. Merab, I think that's fair with his body of work. It's been better. I think Pantoja, somebody I think people are sleeping on.
Yeah.
For him to be as dominant as he's been in his weight class, like I said, his resume is getting up there with Mighty Mouse. I still have Mighty Mouse firmly as the greatest, at 125, but he's making a case for himself. So I think I'd have to go there for 4. And then for, the 5th spot is a little shaky. John Jones, GSP say he thinks John Jones will come back. He's retired in my mind, so get him out of there. Pereira's interesting because he has reigned in multiple weight classes, but he's coming kind of fresh off a loss. You look at like the first 4 guys on the list.
But he redeemed the loss though. But I get what you're saying. Though.
But that's what. But still, even okay. So you have the Izzy loss. That was sometime in recent fight history, and then you have
how. That was at 185. He been killing that 205 now.
But it's pound for pound. But you say pound for pound.
Pound for pound.
You see Ilia Topuria go up a weight class, and he beating perennial greats there. Charles Oliveira starched him.
All I got to say.
Knocking out Max Holloway at 145.
I heard what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But even with that one elegance, that one champion, that nigga like slaughtered every other champion at 205. Literally all champions at 205. Literally all champions at 205. And like, that's crazy.
And I might be but it's a weak weight class. I'm just gonna be honest.
Damn, bro. I know you're just.
You know it's the okay. Do you?
Stop. You ain't gonna put me in it, bro.
No, I'm gonna put you in it. My
name been in it. I ain't in it.
The reason why I say that is not that they're not talented. I don't take anything away. But you talk about fighting at featherweight. You talk about fighting at lightweight. You talk about fighting at welterweight. It's like murderer's row, where it's like all this competition, and you're wondering who's gonna rise to the top. At 205, you don't look at it that way. You say, oh, okay, if Oldberg fights Alex Pereira, that's an interesting fight. Magomed Ankalaev might get a trilogy with Alex Pereira, but who outside of that you think is going to be Pereira? You don't even have that. Is it because Pereira is that good, or do you feel like it's just the rest of the names aren't necessarily doing that? It's flip a coin at those big weight classes. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a lot of power, and it's just who's better on that night. I'm not saying that there's not legitimate skill sets behind it, but when you look at a matchup between Ilia Topuria and Arman Tsarukyan, him or Islam, you go, who's going to win that? And I think that's you don't have that same level of depth at those higher weight classes. You don't have that at heavyweight. It's hard for a heavyweight to crack that list for me. That's just for that go. So the top 4, I don't even know if I said a 5, but I think that's kind of what I'm looking at. A welterweight would, if Belal would have stayed, he went on a huge fight win streak. You had JDM, who was in the conversation, and he just lost to, Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. It's tough. So, Pereira is a safe answer, but I just don't feel like it feels right to me.
I mean, they still all champions, bro. That's all I'm saying, bro.
No, I
heard what you're saying. I heard.
I respect that.
And I understand. But, you got to put them on a pound-for-pound list, bro. Don't ahead throw them on your pound-for-pound, bro. It's okay, bro.
Nah. we off that. No, and I think Pereira's fantastic. That's not a knock to him. You don't choose who's in your weight class. I think sometimes you just need good adversaries to make your case. I think that's the thing for John Jones. You think about the legendary names he was fighting. I think that's what really cemented that legacy. For Pereira, he's fighting really good guys. But do you look at the 205s and say there's a lot of great guys there? That's my thing. For the heavyweights, Francis was already destroying the same guys that are kind of in the mix now. So I don't look at it as saying, okay, there's a bunch of great guys. You have a bunch of really good guys there. I think that's the difference. There's no disrespect. That's just my personal opinion. I think you have a lot of great 45s, a lot of great 55s, a lot of great welterweights.
Man, it's just deep. I get what you're saying.
Middleweights starting to get a little shaky. We already talked about this. It's getting better, but it's still a little shaky. So I throw Pereira on there just because I can't even find anybody. But that's just the parity the UFC's in right now.
So that's your 6, or you just did 5?
Well, who I say?
Yeah. So you said you already did the top 3. Yeah. It was the same. Then so did you go with Islam as number 1?
I had Islam number 1. I had Topuria number 2. I did have Merab. I had Pantoja.
Pantoja 4.
I think I was stuck at 5. Man, I might throw Arman at that 5th spot. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of fair. I mean, for you to be number 1 contender for as long as you have and really haven't had really a big loss. I mean, he did lose to Gamrot. I guess Pereira just kind of has to be that placeholder, but he's pretty fresh off the Magomedov Ankalaev loss as well,
But he redeemed. That's what I'm trying to say, bro. He redeemed that by knocking Buddy out in the first round. Like, come on, bro.
I mean, when you look at the other bodies of work, do you think it compares?
Against Arman or Alex Pereira? Body of work?
No, I'm saying the other guys who are champions.
The other guys are... Yeah, well, hold on. Well, we already got him on the list. So first off, we already got him on the list. You know what I'm saying? But when you talk about Arman, like I don't think Arman matches up on the resume of Alex Pereira. But I get what you're saying. Light heavyweight just ain't as deep as all these other weight classes.
No, I get exactly what you're saying because the championship fights, that's the thing. But you look at Pereira, even road to the title, like, you only fought him 2-3 times. Like, I'm just saying, you give certain guys the same care package. Now, I always talk about this even with Conor McGregor. Just because people give you the opportunity quick, you've seen a lot of guys, some Sage Northcutts, and a lot of people get the package, and then when it's time for them to actually fight, they drop the bag. But all I'm saying is it could be a gift and a curse. That's all I'm saying. So I probably would have to put Pereira. Like, you might prove me wrong.
There you go.
I'm
him in the Shama. Come on, dog. Get a part of it,
Nah, we got that. But Pereira's cold. Like, it's not a diss them. I don't look at the weight class the same. 205 just hasn't been like that, since like the Anthony. You
talking about like Rashad's? And early John Jones days.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Anthony Johnson, that's what I was trying to say. But yeah.
All right.
Thank you for watching another episode of Brick Brothers Podcast. As always, please like, share, subscribe, be a brick.